Secondhand is the future of fashion.
In order to make fashion truly sustainable, we need to understand the basics of fast fashion and why it is unsustainable. What is fast fashion? Fast fashion is inexpensive clothing rapidly produced by mass market retailers in response to consumers' demand and latest trends. Fast fashion retailers would be Anthropologie, H&M, Forever 21, Free People, Zara, Shein, Zaful, and the list goes on and on. The global fast fashion market was expected to grow from $25.09 billion in 2020 to $30.58 billion in 2021. So why does fast fashion truly suck? Well, it produces a lot of waste. The global fashion industry produces over 92 million tons of waste per year. In the US alone, over 17 million tons of used textile waste are generated annually. That is a lot of clothes being sent to landfills. Now, there's also a question of the ethicalness of fast fashion. Can fast fashion be ethical? Well, fast fashion is unethical in more than one way. Not only is it hurting the environment, but it is hurting the people who are actually producing the clothing. In the fast fashion industry, garment workers are paid under minimum wage and are working in unsafe conditions. For example, you may have heard of the Bangladesh factory collapse in 2013, where underpaid and overworked garment workers were producing fast fashion items in an unstable building. The building then collapsed and over 1,132 people were killed and more were injured. When we slow production, we can protect these workers and bring awareness to their need to be paid and treated ethically. So when we look a little bit closer into fast fashion waste, we can look at water waste and how that has such a big impact on the overall fashion industry as well as the environment. It takes 2,700 liters of water to make the average cotton t-shirt, and that's enough drinking water for one person for 900 days. Now, if we think about how many clothes are produced globally, think about how much that water waste builds up. So there's between 80 billion and 150 billion garments produced a year globally. Nearly 3/5 of all that clothing produced ends up in incinerators or landfills within the years of being produced. So a lot of these clothes aren't actually being worn, but instead they're being thrown into landfills to produce toxic waste in the environment. In addition, the reason that clothing ending up in landfills is such a big issue is because it contributes to the mass amount of greenhouse gases released into the air. So when these fast fashion retailers are producing mass amounts of clothing very cheaply, it's essentially just being thrown back into landfills rather than being worn by people. So we can see that there's definitely a lot of breaks in the way that the fast fashion industry is working when it relates to the environment as well as the people who are actually producing these clothes. Another big issue within the fast fashion industry is this idea of having fast fashion seasons. Nowadays, fast fashion brands produce about 52 micro seasons a year. So take a moment, think about all of those clothes constantly being produced at a fast rate, leaving the garment workers to be paid little to nothing and working in conditions that are unsafe, for all of this clothes to simply end up in landfills and produce toxic waste. This is why secondhand shopping is so vital. When we talk about sustainability in fashion, of course, it is so important to recognize that the most sustainable clothes that you can wear are the ones that you already own. So it is so important to just start by looking at what you have and seeing how you can spruce it up, maybe even repurpose it or style it in a new way. Now, when it does come time for you to get something new or to shop, that is when it is so key to shop secondhand. By shopping secondhand, you make fashion a cycle rather than this linear progression that eventually is going to destroy the planet. When you buy secondhand, you're not contributing to production, and you're also not contributing to clothing ending up in landfills because you're giving it a home. Shopping secondhand can also be a great way to spruce up your style. It can be a fun way to find very unique items that aren't seen all the time. It can also push you to embody a different style or explore a new sense of style for yourself. Shopping secondhand can also be better for your wallet nowadays because it is becoming a trend to shop secondhand. Some stores are upping their prices, but there definitely are tons and tons of ways to shop secondhand and make it a little bit less harsh on your bank account. Some big secondhand retailers that you might have already heard of are Savers or Goodwill or Plato's Closet. Those tend to be a little bit cheaper. There's also some online thrift stores that offer lots of great deals, like ThredUp, where you can curate and filter through a lot of clothes to find unique items that will serve you and your style best. Shopping secondhand contributes immensely to this idea of circular fashion rather than linear fashion. So circular fashion is when shoes, clothes, accessories are designed, sourced, and produced and provided with the intention to be used and circulate responsibly and effectively in society for as long as possible. And when these items are no longer needed for use, the intention is to have them safely returned to the biosphere. Some great places for you to shop secondhand are Goodwill, Savers, Plato's Closet, any local vintage shops or thrift stores, as well as online stores like ThredUp, Depop, Poshmark, eBay, or Facebook Marketplace. Now, there is a way to shop sustainably and not buy secondhand clothing, and that would be to buy products from slow fashion brands. Slow fashion brands produce their clothing at a slow rate and source their products sustainably and ethically, sometimes made from plant sources or from recycled materials. Some of my favorite slow fashion brands are the Lullaby Club, Indigo Luna, Vitamin A Swimwear, Mate the Label, Girlfriend the Collective, Hara the Label, Love Kind, Pact. And you can also follow a lot of sustainable influencers online to educate yourself and your community. Some of my favorite influencers to follow are Venetia Lamana. She posts tons of stuff about sustainability and fashion, as well as shopping secondhand. Chloe Assam is someone who works with Venetia in one of her podcasts, and she posts a lot about sustainability and fashion as well. The OR Foundation is a great resource to follow on Instagram, as well as the founders of Sustainably Influenced, Charlotte Williams and Bianca Foley. Sophia Esperanza is another great influencer who shares all about sustainability within fashion, as well as veganism within fashion. And lastly, my own sister, Haley Singer, uploads blogs about sustainability and fashion that are a great resource to check out. You can follow her blog, holyhaley.com, where she uploads blog posts on sustainability and fashion, as well as great brands to follow. And lastly, if you decide to partake in the secondhand fashion movement, I highly suggest that you upload photos on your social platforms with the hashtag OOOTD when you're wearing your secondhand clothing. This helps bring awareness to secondhand fashion, as well as start the conversation around sustainability and fashion. Here are all of the citations of the information that I've stated throughout this video. I really hope that this video inspires you to make shifts within your own fashion, beauty, and lifestyle consumption, hopefully with secondhand shopping at the forefront and then sustainability following it. Secondhand is the future of fashion.